What is up, guys? I am Zachary Reality, if you don't already know, and welcome to my new series where I interview rising TikTok stars. I could not be more ecstatic to welcome my first guest, Ask.Nelly. If you don't know who Ask.Nelly is, she is a dating expert on TikTok with over 200,000 followers. She takes us around her life in Europe with some awesome bougie vlogs while giving real and relatable dating advice. So Ask.Nelly, how are you doing?
Zachary, I'm great. How are you? Thank you for having me on. I'm so excited to be on and talking to you.
I know, I'm so excited to talk to you. We have connected like months ago, but we're finally like getting down to get into this interview.
Yes,
Long
I'm
awaited
stoked.
interview.
Yes.
So why don't you kind of like open up for people who might not know you and tell everybody like how you kind of got started on TikTok?
Sure. Well, I call myself a confidence coach. And I got started on TikTok in mid-July. It was random. It was kind of an accident. My sister was going through some relationship stuff. And originally I was trying to persuade her into doing a TikTok dance with me, and she didn't want any part of it. So I figured I would just share some of the tips that I was giving her at the time with people on TikTok. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't in any means think it would get to this point. And so it kind of parlayed into what is now Ask.Nelly, where I basically give advice on all different types of topics. And like you said, I share my life as well. So I'm having a great time connecting with people on TikTok, and it's been such a passion project for me.
Yeah. So was it your username originally Ask.Nelly, or did it just become that once you gave dating advice?
It just became that when I started doing the advice. I think originally it was the same as, well, my original Instagram name was Nelly like the rapper, which was kind of just a joke play on words. And so I think that was my original TikTok name too. And then it just became kind of a mouthful. So I condensed it to Ask.Nelly.
So you said you're a confidence coach?
Confidence coach. Yeah, because I don't necessarily just limit myself to dating advice, although that is primarily what I like to talk about, because a lot of the people who follow me are curious about kind of different ways and strategies to interact with men and kind of navigate this hookup culture that we're in. But yeah, we talk about all things: confidence, friends, family, and just, different strategies really to overcome that. And essentially my mission being to help people and inspire people to live life on their terms in whatever capacity that entails.
Yeah. So is this what you do for like your work? Because I know you work like a normal job.
Yeah, no, it's not my full-time profession by any means. I work mostly in the consumer packaged goods space. I have a consumer packaged goods business as well. But this is something, again, that's a passion project. I do a little bit of coaching on the side, and I am going to be launching a coaching platform soon. I think on December 1st is kind of what I'm targeting, where I'll be able to offer that to people who follow me and want to book one-on-one individualized sessions. But that, again, will just be something that I offer exclusively to my TikTok followers.
Yeah, because I was going to say you have accumulated a pretty large following and you have such good advice. So I'm wondering, like, where do you see this like taking you? I mean, you're like kind of becoming like an influencer now.
I don't by any means consider myself to be an influencer, but yeah, it's crazy. I sometimes don't even realize really how large it's gotten. But ultimately that is kind of the end goal, is really to offer individualized sessions to people, because I get so many DMs every day, Zachary, from women who want advice on a myriad of topics. I also have.
What is the craziest DM you've gotten about like what's like someone who's like been like asking for a dating or like any type of advice? Like, what is the craziest thing that you could think of comes to mind? I know you've probably gotten so many.
I've gotten a lot. I would say one of the craziest types of DMs I've gotten is when girls send me pictures of them with the guys that they were hooking up with. So I've had girls literally send me screenshots of them in bed on Snapchat with a guy that they've been hooking up with. And that's kind of where it gets a little uncomfortable, because it's one thing to ask for advice. It's another to kind of offer that type of, privacy, especially when you don't know someone. So I would say that's probably the craziest type. But obviously, everyone's going through different things. And even though it might not necessarily be something that, one person has experience with. I try to kind of maintain a confidentiality as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously doing something so right. If people trust you and confide in you, like you're really drawing people in. And one of the reasons I followed you is because of how personable you are. Like when I watch your videos, it doesn't even matter what advice you're giving, which I usually agree with like all of your advice. I think you're like very wise, but something about you that you're just so personable. You just have this like energy where I feel like I've known you for like my whole life.
Well, thank you so much. That's a huge compliment to me. And that's really what I try to get across is, it's hard enough being in a world, especially on the internet, where there's so much judgment.
Yeah.
I try to kind of create a community where it feels like a soft place to land. It feels like, a big sister or a best friend who's just giving you advice that's in your best interest. Because that's how I would want someone to talk to me, especially when I put myself in the shoes of someone who I've been, essentially in those positions before when I was younger, where you really don't have anyone to turn to and you feel judged or you feel confused or conflicted. And so that's essentially, what I try to embody. And that essentially is kind of who I am in real life too, is I want to be, that safe place to land for a lot of people who maybe feel lost or alone.
Totally. And you really are. You truly are. But I
Thank
do
you.
want to, there is this whole other side to you on TikTok. You don't just give great advice. You do take us around your very bougie, like over the top lifestyle. I mean, you've been traveling during a pandemic. So why don't you tell people like, where are you living right now? Because you are from Miami. I know, but you're in Spain.
I'm in Spain. So I do share my personal life on TikTok as well. And it wasn't something that, again, I set out to do intentionally. I wasn't like trying to be flashy or in any way pretentious. That's not who I am as a person. And that's certainly not what I'm trying to emulate online. That being said, I am living my life and I just thought it would be fun, especially because I'm traveling alone and I have been for the past 5 months-ish. I didn't have friends who I was with or really family who I was with. So I was like, okay, let me just show my internet friends and the people who follow me kind of what I'm up to. And you can genuinely hear, I think, in a lot of my vlogs, like the excitement in my voice. I'm almost just as like excited and naive going into a lot of these situations. But yeah, so I've been kind of traveling solo, essentially around the world, mostly in Europe though. I originally came to Spain thinking I would be here for a week. I came here on vacation. And then I didn't book a return ticket and I figured, there's no rush, there's no reason to leave, when to me it seemed like the perfect opportunity to kind of explore the world. I don't have, a family or anyone really tying me down back home.
Yeah,
you're
in your prime.
I hope so. That's how I'm trying to approach it. And I know a lot of people, when they look back, they say, oh my gosh, I wish I would have traveled more when I was younger.
Yes,
and I never want to look back and think, what if, shoulda, coulda. I ended up just kind of prolonging my trip, and 1 week turned into 5 months. And I'm in Spain, but I am going to be going back. I'm going to Canada next week. So I'm excited to kind of reconnect with my family.
That's so cool. I recently took a solo trip to Las Vegas last weekend. And what is so interesting, like what you were saying, is that like I went by myself, like 2 days by myself, but I didn't feel like I was going by myself because I did a travel vlog and I was doing vlogs on TikTok and lives. And I just felt like I brought my followers with me.
So I saw your vlog, by the way. Loved it.
So like, I'm wondering, and like I was trying to give people advice too, but like what is an advice? Like I think solo trips are so, so important. Like it's good for the mind, you need self-care. So what advice would you give to solo travelers? Like how do you put yourself out there to like push yourself to go somewhere new?
It's really hard. And it's something that I didn't think I had in me, because when you get into a routine and a habit of, just being in one place, sometimes reminding yourself that there's still a side of you that is able to adapt to new places, and getting comfortable with the uncomfortable is the hardest thing. That being said, I think pick a place that's relatively safe and developed. So I wouldn't suggest going to like a third world country necessarily by yourself, or maybe you'd be more at risk. So choose places that I think are more conducive to a solo traveler, especially if you're, female.
If it's your first time.
Yeah, exactly. And also I think pick a place where there's going to be less of a language barrier. Typically, major European cities are, semi-fluent in English. And then also just remember that it's okay to be uncomfortable. Again, get comfortable with uncomfortable situations, because when you are placed in those situations, that's actually how you grow as a person. And it makes you more interesting. I think. So the fact that even you went to Las Vegas, like that right there is something that I find so fascinating and interesting, because it adds a layer of, it makes you more dynamic as a person, and it is something that you can share, especially when you are meeting people.
Yeah. And I really pushed myself to go. I was like, I haven't done a solo trip in so long. I need this weekend. I need self-care. So if anyone is watching, me and Nelly are encouraging you to take care of yourself, put yourself first. You have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations to become more comfortable with yourself.
You can wait or you can create, For a long time in my life, I was scared of the unknown. I was just waiting around for an opportunity to fall in my lap. And I think this year really things changed, because I realized I have to be the pilot of my own life, just like you have to be the pilot of your own life. And that means being accountable for your decisions. That means making your own decisions and not letting people or society or anyone tell you how to live your life. As long as you are, again, being safe and you can look at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day, I think that right there is empowering.
Totally. Now, I do have a little game for you. And we are going to put your dating advice expert to the test. So I'm going to give you a couple scenarios. Yeah, get ready. And I want to know what you would do in these uncomfortable dating situations. Are you ready?
I guess we'll see if I'm ready.
Okay, so the first one
let's go.
You are on a first date. The guy asks you out. He picks the restaurant, orders food, orders you drinks, and you're completely under the assumption that he's paying because it's a first date. When the waiter asks if you want the check, he tells the waiter, yes, can you split it in half, without even consulting in you. What do you do in that situation?
I never assume going into a date that a guy's going to pay. I certainly would hope that he would be chivalrous enough to, again, want to court a woman in the traditional sense, because that is how I like to be courted. That being said, I don't have an expectation of that. If that is how he chose to navigate the situation, I would put my credit card down. I would pay for the check that came toward me, and that first date would turn into a last date. If there was even a check dance, or how should we do this? I would probably and he didn't say let's bring it into different checks. I would probably just pay for the whole thing and call it money well spent, because I guess that's just my level of pride. But also, it would be in a sense to show him and prove a point that that's not romantic, at least in my opinion. So yeah, I would happily pay, and that first date would turn into a last date. Yeah,
because I've seen your TikToks where you're like, you like to put the ball in the guy's court. So I'm just like, if he's the one that's going to ask you out and pick the restaurant, then you would assume he was paying. So I think a lot of girls would just be very taken off guard in that situation.
Well, and also it depends on, this is why I do like for a guy to take the lead in those situations, because depending on the restaurant he chooses, depending on the venue, and all of that, that tells me a lot, and it gives me a lot of insight. Is this the kind of guy who's going to be like, let's go to Cipriani's, or is it going to be, let's go for McDonald's? Either way, doesn't matter. But I would hope that someone wouldn't be, asking you out to a 5-star dinner and then putting it back on you to pay, because that's not really respectful to the person. That's actually quite classless.
Yeah. So this guy on the first date, he's just going to be a no.
It's just going to be a no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay, I got another.
Gladly pay, but keep it moving.
Yeah. So now you're on a double date, okay? This guy asked you out. It's a first date. You've connected with him a little bit. We're going to call him Franklin. Franklin brought his best friend, James, okay? And then you're going to bring your best friend, Mindy, because he's bringing his friend, James. You're like, okay, I got a girl. So you're on a double date. During the date, your friend Mindy is very into James, and Franklin, the guy that asked you out, is very into you. However, during the date, you notice that you are more into James. You guys have had eye contact. You guys are flirting a little bit. You just notice that there's more of a connection with the guy's friend, James, not Franklin. Are you following me here? But your friend Mindy is also really... What?
Is James into Mindy?
No, James is into you.
Okay, so it's a bit of a love triangle going on.
But your friend Mindy is really into James, and Franklin, the guy that asked you out, set up this whole double date, is really into you. So how do you get out of that situation?
Well, it's tough, because I think, there is a certain code of friendship that typically you have to kind of ask yourself, is this worth jeopardizing a friendship over? because essentially that is going to be something you have to ask yourself. I would probably have, after the date, have a conversation with my friend Mindy and see where she's at, you know, and also explain to her openly and honestly what I was feeling. Obviously, if James is not into Mindy, it doesn't really matter how into James Mindy is, because that relationship is probably not going to go anywhere, irregardless of me. That being said, again, I think you owe your friend the respect, and kind of you should do the due diligence of being honest with them. And then I think based on how that interaction goes, if Mindy's like, you know what, I know that you guys had a really strong connection, I don't want to overstep that, then you can go from there. But if Mindy's like, I just don't, you know, I don't want to see you with a guy that I like and I feel like I had dibs on, then you have to make a decision. Okay, well, what's worth it? What's worth more to me, the friendship or pursuing this potential love interest?
Totally. I think friends just as a whole need to just like communicate more. I feel like a lot of girls, especially when they're young, even guys, like they just get so like, they're just so like physically attracted to someone that they just like put everything else out the window.
Exactly. Yeah. And it can be really difficult and challenging too when you do bring, even if it's not a double date, if it's just a third wheel essentially into a dynamic, because a lot of the times you can't trust people. And especially early on in the early stages of a relationship, you definitely don't want to let it get to a point past return. So I think important, as you mentioned, it's really important to be communicative and open.
Totally. All right. Well, now we are going to get into our rapid fire questions. Okay.
I'm a little nervous.
I'm going to add a little music audio thing right here. So what is the best way to break up with a guy that you just started dating? Let's say you went on like 2 to 3 dates.
I would say, listen, I had a really nice time with you. I just think we're looking for different things and I don't want to waste any of your time. And essentially just take care. I think if you
say it would you say that in person, on the phone?
Depends on how he reached out. So I would probably send it over text, especially if it's like date 1, date 2. Gotcha. If he tried calling me and asking me out again, then I would obviously say it to him over the phone.
That's fair. So what is your advice to new daters, people who have never dated anyone before and they just want to break into the dating game?
I think a few things. So first off, get really comfortable with being a conversationalist. So whether that's chatting up someone at a coffee shop or at a grocery store, not even someone necessarily that you're interested in romantically, but just being familiar and comfortable with those in-person interactions is going to be a huge game changer for anyone looking to date, because ultimately a lot of people do want to meet organically and in person, but they just maybe are nervous. They don't know how to go about it. So that's the first thing. Second thing is you have to put yourself out there, you know, treat it more like meeting friends and getting to know people, and take the pressure of finding a potential love interest or the one out of it. And it'll be a lot more enjoyable. So download dating apps and actually go on dates and see what you like and don't like and go from there. I think a lot of people put a lot of pressure on themselves when it comes to dating, that it has to be fireworks. Just treat it like you're getting to know people and almost like a personal experiment and personal training on, you know, how to kind of get acquainted with the dating world. Tell people in your friend circle or in your family that you're looking to start dating, so that they can maybe set you up with people. Yeah, put that energy out there.
Totally. So this question has a part 2. So what advice do you give to people who maybe just got out of a long-term relationship or even a marriage? Let's say like 20 years. Like how do you is that the same, to give the same advice, or is it a little different?
Well, so it's a little bit different, because typically if you're getting out of something that's more long-term or serious, you have experience that you can draw from. So there are naturally going to be things that you had in that relationship that maybe you didn't like or you did like. So really hone in on that and literally create a list of things that you are looking for based on how those relationships transpired in the past. Because that'll make it a lot easier for you to find something, again, that really does meet your needs and fit what you're looking for. But similar advice, you know, put yourself out there, don't hold back. It depends on what you're looking for too. Some people come out of long-term relationships and they're like, I just want to have fun. Some people come out of long-term relationships and they're like, I know exactly what I'm looking for now and I don't want to waste any time.
We were kind of talking about how you do give a lot of advice. It's not just dating advice. I feel like watching your videos, you give a lot of advice for people who just want to be happy and like content with themselves. You encourage people to just like be themselves. What is your advice on how to be happy? What's your secret to success?
Oh my gosh, what a loaded question. Advice on how to be happy. sometimes happiness is not a constant state. It's essentially an emotion. Sometimes you feel happy and joyful, sometimes you don't. And I think take the pressure off of yourself to constantly be happy, because that's something that society expects of you. It's okay to have days where you're down. It's okay to not be at your A game all the time. And once you take that out of the equation, that right there will actually bring you more happiness. Because again, you're taking this pressure off of yourself to be a perfect person, which essentially a lot of people would equate to being always happy. Really make decisions that you want to make, as opposed to doing things because you feel an expectation to do them. When you are essentially the pilot in your own life and you are calling the shots, making your own decisions, you're going to be able to hopefully be happier because you're doing what you want to do. You're not doing things because someone else is telling you to. It's easier to fall asleep at night knowing that you are making your own choices and you can stand by them. And then also, of course, just know that it's okay to fail. It's okay to stumble. It's okay to fall. We all do. And I think we live in this era now, and you and I, especially Zachary, because we are, on social media a lot, where everything does seem perfect. You think it's roses and rainbows, and people look, photoshopped, and everyone just looks, like they're living their best life. And the reality is, it's smoke and mirrors. So I think it's important for us to check in with ourselves. And that's why I talk about mental health a lot on my social media too, is things are not always perfect, and that is okay. There's actually perfection in imperfection.
Totally.
And then as far as success goes, by no means do I consider myself to be successful or do I think I made it, but I just remind myself that the finish line always moves. You never truly make it. Once you might reach one goal, but then guess what? There's another one that you're pacing toward. So it's this constant thing. As long as you're moving forward, that right there, I think success, because you're not stopping, you're not holding yourself back.
Yeah, well, when I think of you, what I think of the reason why you're successful is because you have things going on in your life and you're actively trying to grow and create more goals for yourself. So that is what I consider someone who is successful, someone who is just putting a smile on their face every day and just doing whatever they choose to do in their life.
Well, thank you. And I would say the same about you, by the way.
Thank you. Well, it has been so much fun. It has been so much fun chatting with you, and we definitely are going to do this again. So we really got to know each other. Like I said, we've connected months ago through TikTok, which has been such an amazing place to kind of meet people. And
yes, I've had the best time, and I love watching your TikToks. By the way, you're so hilarious, and you get the best recaps, especially since I have been kind of out of the reality TV bubble recently. I feel like you're my one-stop shop for all things reality TV. Yes. But thank you so much for having me. It's been great chatting with you. Love talking to you as always.
Yes, and where can everybody find you? What are your socials?
Everything is on Ask.Nelly. So TikTok is Ask.Nelly, Instagram Ask.Nelly, and then I'm going to be launching my website on December 1st, which will be Ask.Nelly.co. So I'll have everything linked. But
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you guys all for listening. I'm Zachary Reality, and we will be interviewing more up-and-coming TikTok stars soon. So I will see you guys later.